Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Digital Leaders session, part of Digital Leaders Week. It's great to be here and contribute to this fantastic week of insight and inspiration. In this session, we will be exploring place-based digital technologies and how place professionals can frame and understand the opportunities of digital placemaking for their own locations. Dr. Joe Morrison will be our guide today. Here's Joe. By way of introduction, Joe is Director of Digital Innovation and Research at Calvium, working at the intersection of digital innovation, design, research and business. He's an expert in the research and design of location-based digital products, services and experiences that enhance people's relationships with places. Please put any questions as we go in the comments and chat sections, and we'll answer them towards the end of the session. Also, if this presentation sparks ideas or resonates with your thinking, give us a thumbs up, which should just be to the right of the video. Without further ado, thank you, Joe. Please take us away.
There we go. Hi, everybody. A very good morning to you on this glorious day. It's a pleasure to be part of Digital Leaders Week, and thank you for being here with Marissa and me. During this session, we'll do some digital placemaking scene setting so that we all have a shared reference of some ways that place-based digital technologies are already supporting people's experience of the world around them. This will give us a collective appreciation of digital placemaking, and you'll be able to assess where you are in the adoption of such digital services in your own thinking, your own place strategies or activities. And please share your own initiatives and any links in the comments box that Marissa mentioned earlier, as well as the thumbs up. So the rest of the session will then draw upon some insights shared by place leaders when we discussed how to make place-based sustainable urban futures happen. And here they are in all their glory. And I'm grateful to each one for sharing their time and insights so generously. Throughout, I'll weave in practical digital placemaking projects to really ground this session in practice. And the aim of this morning is for you to feel inspired and better equipped to embrace digital placemaking within your own context. Please do contact me afterwards if you'd like some input from the Calvium team. I'd be delighted to support your own digital journey. As I have enjoyed supporting the NHS recently, and as shown here, the results of the digital placemaking research I led for them are already impacting NHS strategies and approaches to regenerating the healthcare estates of Northeast London. If you would like to work with us and have your logo in lights, then you will be collaborating with a leading digital innovation agency based in Bristol, but working nationally and internationally. We care about fostering deeper connections between people and places through digital placemaking. And for over a decade, we've been doing exactly that, working with place leaders in the heritage, regeneration and urban development areas, most recently with the City of Edinburgh Council, Ely Council, Stroud District Council and the NHS Northeast London, as mentioned before, to name but a few. I'm also an expert on the UK government's High Streets Task Force, which supports communities and local government to transform their high streets. And as we know, each high street, as each place, is unique, multi-layered and complex, which is why we, all of us here in this session, choose to work as place professionals. So the Calvium team has a real understanding of the social, cultural, economic and environmental aspects of places and how place-based digital technologies can shape and deliver on the strategies of towns and cities. This is an image, or these are images, from Cardiff Bay, where we undertook intensive digital placemaking research for the developer's Igloo regeneration to inform their own place strategy for this large brownfield site. One aspect of this research project was a public engagement activity, the Ideascape Showcase. If you'd like to find out more, then our research report is openly available and can be downloaded from Calvium's website. The report itself, which you can see here, bottom left, was launched by the Design Commission for Wales, and the launch was co-hosted with the Landscape Institute Wales, which was rather fab. So it's fair to say we are recognised experts in digital placemaking. Here is an image that I'm going to tell you about later that was from Ideascape, whetting your appetite. So what do we mean by place? Well, in this session, we'll draw on Tim Cresswell and position place as how we make the world meaningful and how we experience the world. We'll also be mindful of this useful three-part definition of place offered by John Agnew: location, locale, and sense of place. So location, a place is located, it has map coordinates, a fixed position. Locale, the material setting for social relations, the neighborhood, and sense of place, emotional attachment, the emotional attachment that people have to places. So place is as much about a way of knowing and understanding the world as it is a thing in the world. And you, as place leaders and managers, work within this context, and you'll be coming from multidisciplinary backgrounds. You'll be responsible for shaping places in different ways, including economic development and regeneration, operational maintenance, visitor experience, policy making. You could be part of bids, of urban design teams, maybe community engagement specialists, and so forth. Whatever your practice, the places you shape and those you visit will be interwoven with technology. For instance, these digital platforms and apps and many others enable us to plan a trip, find our way, order food, pay for services, find people nearby, play augmented reality street games, and so forth. In our neighborhoods and town centers, there is an intimate connection between people, place, technology, and data. Some places more than others for now, but we can see the clear and swift direction of travel for all. As we walk around our neighborhoods, we see people with personal technologies at hand, ready to engage. As here in Manchester and in London. Inside, what a massive cultural shift over the past few years. This is the National Gallery with visitors recording and sharing the artwork. And any of you who travel on London's public transport will be very familiar with these scenes. It's the everyday behaviour of thousands and thousands of people as they move around the city. It'll be a familiar sight to many people in many cities worldwide, I'm sure. Now, what's happening on the smartphones is largely unknown, but we can guess that there's work going on, gaming, gambling, socializing, watching films, learning, and so forth. These images show us behaviors which have become mundane and embedded in our places across the past decade. So much so that we forget that it wasn't always this way. Indeed, just think of the National Gallery there. Paying attention, observing our evolving behaviors helps massively when designing digital placemaking products. So we've established that digital technology is not separate. It is no longer and can no longer be seen as the other or an extra. It's embedded. Technology is an integral aspect of place. As we've seen, Place-based digital technologies are everywhere and in all aspects of policy at local, regional, and national level. There is a digital dimension in all. That means it's important that all place practitioners embrace digital placemaking, understand it, embed it in your strategies. To benefit from accessing future public funding, you will need to connect your place strategies with digital technologies. That's why digital placemaking is a core aspect of place leadership and should be embedded in your digital transformation strategies and operations. So what is digital placemaking? Well, we term the intersection of people, place, technology, and data as digital placemaking. It's concerned with location-specific digital products, services, or experiences that enhance people's relationship with a particular location, our high streets, our green spaces, our healthcare estates. And digital placemaking is people and it's place-led, and uses the strengths of technology and data to make the experience of places better. It's as important for towns as it is for cities, for large places and small. And in practice, this looks like wayfinding services that are designed with and for people with hidden impairments. Immersive visitor experiences, maybe in Whitehall. A service that supports health and well-being by presenting all of Bristol's green spaces on one single mobile app. The Place Experience platform, which is designed to support a place's visitor experience and local economies, already rolled out in Exeter, Salisbury, Copenhagen, and many other towns and cities. We've also got a platform designed to support the production of sustainable energy. And finally, final example is location-specific data providing an evidence base to inform the funding of park lighting in Edinburgh. These examples are all projects undertaken by Calvium for a variety of clients, and they serve to bring our scene setting, place and digital technology section to a close and move us on to our place leaders, our rogues gallery, who are Peter, Dan, Sharon, Daisy, Ben, and Mark. Now, I interviewed each person independently for a series that explores sustainable urban futures through the intersection of people, place, and technology. And it's this digital leaders session that's given me the opportunity to revisit the interviews as a set and pull from them the common themes that emerged, which are innovation, policy, collaboration, and community engagement. I'm now going to spend a few minutes on each theme, providing examples of practice where I can. Innovation. Innovate at speed and with care. That's my mantra, and it speaks to the messages coming from our place leaders. Digital technology changes so quickly. How we harness that change and shape that change to see how technology is used best is critical. Daisy is suggesting action. She's talking about participation, active involvement in order to have a voice in shaping your destination's digital products and services. This points to an attentive, reflective, and programmatic approach to digital placemaking in order to enable long-term value and minimize short-term risk. Building on this notion of action and participation, Peter Madden says, pilot these new technologies, think about regulation earlier, and think about the unintended consequences before you enable them. The message here is clear. Get started with the right foundations. This is a critical example of how to innovate at speed and with care. Many towns and cities are seeing rental bikes on their streets endorsed by their local authorities, such as these e-bikes in Manchester and these rental e-scooters in Bristol, which are examples of digital technologies changing how we interact with places. 2 years ago, these e-scooters started their formal trial in Bristol and are ubiquitous today. There has been considerable backlash, however, from people and businesses who have been negatively impacted by the presence of these e-scooters. A few years before, e-scooters started to become visible on the streets of San Francisco and then Paris and elsewhere, where there was a similar backlash. This suggests that not only should we be alert to how different digitally enabled products are changing the experience of other places and therefore might impact upon our neighborhoods, but also that when designing digital placemaking trials such as these, we should first seek to learn from the experiences of other towns and cities. Indeed, a recent referendum in Paris saw rental e-scooters banned, which reminds us of Peter's sage words: pilot these new technologies, think about regulation earlier, and think about the unintended consequences before you enable them. The e-scooter trials in the UK have been extended to 2024. And we would all be served better if their research thus far was openly shared amongst the participating locations, other local authorities, and critically with the public. I want to know. I believe that we should be freely and openly sharing our own learning as we innovate. Innovate at speed and with care as part of society, for social, economic, and environmental benefit. Ben says, unless something is going to make a massive difference quickly to a massive problem, don't fast track it. Ben calls for an holistic approach, a careful approach. He's certainly not calling for analysis paralysis, but he is asking us not to be reckless by fast-tracking at the expense of conducting interdisciplinary quality trials through to delivery. And as we move from trials to delivery, we may need to consider long-term viability, where we take a continuous approach to development and long-term investment. Which is where I remind us of Daisy's opening comment. Digital technology changes so quickly. How we harness that change and shape that change to see how technology is used best is critical. We need to be thinking and doing for the long term. And who's doing the do? For those of us of a certain mindset, it's Betty Boo. But for others, it's Dan Cook. And his insight is significant. We're going to need a different set of skilled people to be effective in driving innovation. There's a massive skills gap we've got to deal with, and a massive transition to make sure people are trained on a wider set of technologies. Now, here Dan is speaking about the application of active energy approaches and innovation in the setting of housing and commercial buildings. His point being valid across all aspects of digital placemaking. Places are being shaped by digital technologies, and there is a skills gap throughout the ecosystem. The public, private, and third sectors should take a systems approach and understand the different types of skills needed at all points of the idea to trial to deployment pipeline. The point is that place leaders and place managers need to foster and pursue a joined-up approach to digital innovation. I recommend starting in a small way, in a more modest manner, so as to learn and to grow, rather than going in on a massive scale and being overwhelmed. And if you want to start your digital placemaking strategy or activities, just get in touch with me, as Calvium has consultancy services and we would love to be involved. Moving on to our second theme, which is policy. And here I've highlighted the UN's Sustainability Development Goals, because when speaking with Ben Hawes, we discussed ethics and how to measure the impact of spatial technologies. Ben noted that there isn't an international code of ethics that is equal across all societies. Some societies privilege something over others. So he has been using the UN's SDGs and feels that they are a good universal yardstick for measurement and therefore for developing policy. And at this point, I'll mention a recent publication called The Ethics of Artificial Intelligence for the Sustainable Development Goals, catchy title, published by Springer. As a place professional, you will be impacted by AI, and thinking about them in relation to the SDGs now may be a useful framing for developing your understanding and policies. Moving on to Sharon, who says, internally, we need to be joining the dots, liaising with relevant stakeholders in different departments, from highways and planning to property and legal. This allows us, as an organisation, to address policy gaps and make sure we can adopt policies and processes to bring our strategy to life. So use place technology as a way to change how organizations operate. Break the silos. This is a fantastic opportunity to have cross-organization working teams to support your digital placemaking or smart city initiatives, working together to identify and address policy gaps. Turning back to Ben, he says, thinking about the ethical use of spatial data in particular, there's still a lot of work to do. What are the rules for spatial data in the public interest? What does that mean? Here we can see that it's possible and advisable to be part of the conversation now while it's happening. Be aware that everything isn't settled. This is a new area, and there's still much to do in terms of policy, guidance, regulations, and so forth. What does generative AI mean for the future place-based services accessed in our places? That question wouldn't be in our purview 2 months ago. It should be now. Be part of the conversation, know what's going on, and how to influence it. The third theme that emerged from the expert interviews on how to enable sustainable urban futures at the intersection of people, place, and technology is collaboration. That's good news for me, as I'm a co-founding director of the Association of Collaborative Design. Establish trusted relationships with internal and external stakeholders, bringing together a range of people, combining their expertise and local knowledge is what will help to tackle complex issues. Great advice here from Sharon. This is exactly the approach I took for the NHS digital placemaking research I undertook last year. NHS Northeast London is a large area made up of 8 boroughs. Its population is projected to grow significantly over the coming years. Barking and Dagenham, Tower Hamlets, and Newham are 3 of the fastest growing boroughs in the UK. As the number of residents increases, so will the use of location-specific digital products, services, and experiences to connect with each other and with their neighbourhoods. This research explored how innovative place-based digital technologies can enhance the health and well-being of Northeast London's diverse communities. In particular, it sought to reveal how digital placemaking can be incorporated into the strategic planning of future NHS healthcare facilities and the neighbouring public realm. For those of you unfamiliar with the location, its built environment varies hugely from high-rise city of Canary Wharf to the town centre of Barking and Dagenham to the more leafy suburby Hornchurch, where we'll just settle for a moment. This research was a scoping project, and we opted to find out whether there was any interest in our mission from the primary stakeholder communities who were identified as local residents, patients, carers, and NHS staff. And if there was interest, where that interest lay, and what shape that interest took. And to do so in an open manner, in a way that shared and explored insights as we went along. We didn't want to launch upon a program of creating digital services and products, which was based on a set of assumptions and good intentions. That model is far too familiar and not that helpful. So we didn't build anything. Also, it's important to note that we were not dealing with medical records or sensitive personal patient data, etc. So what did we do? Well, firstly, I designed a 3-stage project structure. The first stage was a set of activities that we undertook to get a sense of the environment. And the second stage was all about stakeholder community engagement. I won't go through each of the 7 activities for time's sake, but what I will do is say that I purposefully designed those activities to suit as many people as possible. We aimed to be inclusive. For instance, opportunities for online or face-to-face engagement, individual or group sessions, formal and informal sessions, different times of the day, and so on. And following are a few slides that give an idea of some of the responses to the stage 1 survey and some of the activities. So in terms of resident responses here, importantly for this project, when asked about their interest in new digital technologies to support health and well-being in public space, as you can see, the residents were really broadly positive. Here is a photo of an informal engagement event at Bike Fest in Barking and Dagenham, and another from that same activity. And this is a structured creative workshop with NHS staff in Tower Hamlets. The data collected from each activity was analysed, and the findings helped to shape the next activity. So it was a very emergent and responsive process. And indeed, this slide supported an engagement event that Morrison and I undertook on Twitter. This was a really experimental method. And a key output of this scoping project is the Experience Design Framework, which is a practical resource that was used as a springboard for all of our stakeholder community sessions in stage 2 to explore how digital placemaking can support health and well-being in Northeast London. And it can support stakeholder communities anywhere who want to explore digital placemaking for health and well-being, who want to enable healthy places. It's for you to use in your places, and I encourage you to do so, and I would love to be involved. Here's feedback from a GP. This framework feels aspirational, which the medical model that I inhabit doesn't do or even think of doing. Digital placemaking can help to break down barriers between the medical facility and health and public spaces. This NHS project very much speaks to the essence of Mark's message, which is bring people from all backgrounds, generations, experiences, and perspectives to the table to try and create more inclusive places. Be people and place-led, not technology-led. I'll now highlight a project that shows how Calvium co-designed a digital placemaking service with people from all backgrounds to try and create a more inclusive space. Navsta, short for Navigating Stations, is an example of co-designing a wayfinding app with the audience who are the primary end users, people who identify as being neurodiverse. Navsta illustrates inclusive research and co-design as a digital placemaking practice and shows how the creative and thoughtful application of digital technologies can make public spaces more accessible for all. At the moment, as you can see in this diagram, people in London are able to plan their journey and travel using digital tools, but not for their whole journey, such as at railway stations when reliable indoor wayfinding solutions are needed. This means that many people with hidden disabilities simply don't travel, so don't go to museums, don't access jobs, and so on. And what Navsta does is to plug this gap and provide the necessary tools to help people plan their journey through a station, undertake their journey, and manage uncertainty during a journey. At which point I'll play a video that shows the research being undertaken at Canada Water with our co-design participants.
Navsta is a mobile wayfinding app with inclusive research and design at its core. Navsta will help passengers with neurodiverse conditions such as autism, dyslexia, memory loss, depression, and anxiety to find their way around railway stations independently and with confidence. It's widely accepted that less visible disabilities can be just as much of a barrier to travel as visible ones. To meet the needs of neurodiverse travelers, any digital solution must be designed and developed in a genuinely inclusive way. That's why we've been working with Navsta's intended users to inform the design of the app. The first on-site usability testing was at Canada Water Station in London. 5 participants with a wide range of cognitive and mental health needs put the app through its paces to see how it supported them to plan a journey through the station, undertake a journey, and manage uncertainty during a journey. By providing the information that passengers need when they need it, Navsta aims to reduce the causes of anxiety when traveling through stations. The findings from this stage of research will inform the next phase of Navsta's development and help it to become an essential part of the traveling public's toolkit. The creation of this innovative wayfinding tool will not only benefit the passenger, but will provide a valuable demonstrator for other train stations seeking to remove barriers to travel, increase customer satisfaction, and achieve more inclusive and accessible journeys.
That's a hard cut out. So these are a few screen grabs from the Navsta app interface. And as you can see, it provides information about Canada Water Station, which is part of London Underground, and does so using text, audio, and imagery, allowing a user to access the same type of information in a mode that suits their individual needs at a particular time when they need it. And that was identified as essential by participants during the Navsta research. And now to our final theme, community engagement. Embrace local understanding. Value the lived experience of local people. As Dan states, there's a big opportunity for showcasing new technologies to communities in different ways, whether through demonstration projects in community buildings or teaching kids in schools. Daisy builds on this. We've been using digital tools for community engagement, for instance, virtual reality, so people could experience what the street could look like, which is exactly what we did in Porthtiga in Cardiff Bay. So you'll remember this image. This is a set of augmented reality binoculars that lets communities not only look at the possible future of Cardiff Bay, but also look at the past and the present. And it was one of 10 showcase exhibits that people could get their hands on and try out. Here's a taster of the showcase. New materials, new technologies, and connectivity are changing hugely the way that we experience cities. Placemaking can no longer concentrate solely on the physical aspects of space, but must also consider digital aspects. Therefore, digital placemaking is central to urban innovation. New materials, new... Right. So for those of you who want to harness digital placemaking now, and I'm sure you do, you don't want to wait, here's a product that may be of interest. It's our own multi-award-winning Place Experience platform. The future is here, and we need to make sure that we join those dots and get it right. That is a perfect way to start to draw this session to a close. And that is basically what in combination was being said by our experts. So there you have it. The future is here, and we need to make sure that we join those dots and get it right. So we've looked at digital placemaking through innovation, through policy, collaboration, and community engagement. You've seen a range of practical projects, and you've heard from place leaders from a variety of disciplines. And now it's up to you. And if you'd like to work with us, we're here for you and would love to help shape your places. As Marissa said, we are ready to have a chat with you now using the digital leaders interface on this platform. And I look forward to having a conversation with you. And let's all be part of the digital placemaking community. Thank you.